Talk to me. You left Rhymesayers a few years ago, was it?
I went independent 4 years ago.
Yeah. What? Obviously, Brother Ali and Rhymesayers, you guys are very synonymous.
Yeah. I was a company man. They talking about drinking the Kool-Aid. I was the Kool-Aid. I was busting through the wall like with the Kool-Aid out. Oh yeah, because I love those people. I still love them.
Yeah, Rhymesayers is obviously one of the craziest success stories, and when it comes to just independent hip hop label, like fuck, man, Atmosphere yourself. I mean, the festivals were crazy. What for you was the main? Why'd you break away and decide to do your own thing?
Man, it's just you grow and you start to have your own ways that the more you learn, the more you have certain things that you want to do and ways that you want to do things, and more so just like how you want to feel. And I realized that the things that I wanted to do were like I've grown as a person and like what I offer the world. So like not only do I do these like sold out tours across the country, I also delivered the Nobel Peace Prize forum, like keynote address at the Nobel Peace Prize.
Wow.
I've like lectured at Harvard and Princeton,
right.
And you know what I mean? I also am I have a leader in the Muslim community. Mm-hmm. I also want to write and do podcasts and all these kind of things. And then also I want things to feel a certain way. And I just realized like the things that I want to do for them to build those, it wouldn't even be responsible for them to build those into that label because it would just be me. Like the things that I was requiring was that. And then also there was also some, when you're building something as you go, you have certain ideas about what this is and things like that. And so, I discovered over time that like, oh, I don't own this label and I don't have really a vote in it. It's not mine. I always kind of felt like it was mine.
Even though you kind of felt that way because you were there from,
Because we all love each other and we're all family. But when it really comes to the decisions that are made, when it really comes to the moves that are made, when it really comes to, even things like, hey, I don't think this particular situation is working. This particular situation is not working for me. There were years where it did not work for me and I was in a bad space. And what I would have needed to do would be to ask them to basically develop new departments just for me. And it's like, that's at a certain point, like I went from saying like, hey, we're all family, let's work this out, to like, I'm just upset and there's nothing I can do about it.
So like, why build up that resentment that's natural?
So it's like, you know what? Let me take the ultimate lesson from all of you that have invested so much in me and gained a lot from me too.
For sure.
Everything I did was very successful. Nothing ever lost money. Everything I did was successful there. So it's like, this was a great run together. The main thing that I can learn from you is that what you did is when you wanted things to be a certain way, you built something that was yours. So it hurt to do that, because there's no scandal, there's no beef. Still love everybody. But to step away. Now, what was beautiful is that right away when I did that, I started my podcast. Slug came out to one of the shows so we could do a podcast together on stage immediately. Like my first time back out after stepping away. And then me and Ant just made this album together and he came on tour with me in between Atmosphere tours. Like instead of going home for 5 weeks.
He came on tour with you.
He came on tour with me.
Album, yeah.
So it's like, man, the music is true. The love is true. The business is the corniest part of it. And so the business wasn't working, so now I'm doing something that does work. Like now I'm healthy, I'm well, you know what I'm saying? So I was terrified to do that. And I mourned it. Like I mourned it like a death because that's where I became me. They're part of me becoming me and I'm part of them becoming them.
100%.
And so to step away business-wise, the main concern is like, can we keep the friendships intact?
And obviously that's happened.
For the most part, yeah. There's a couple people that, there's a few situations that are like, we haven't really got back on the same page yet. But those things take time.
For sure.
Like,
It's with anything. There's healing. There's, you got to let stuff settle.
But those people are good people.
Right.
So, Yasin Bey and me are really dear friends. And
he opened your album.
Yeah. And he came to me and said, we're thinking about doing the Black Star vinyl on Rhymesayers. I know that you used to be there and you're not anymore. Is there anything you want to tell me? I said, those people are honest people. But don't assume anything. That's the only thing. If you want to know something, ask it.
You got to ask.
If you assume something, ask directly. But they will never cheat you. They will never lie to you. They managed Doom's affairs, which wasn't easy.
Are they still doing that?
Yes.
Yes.
Doom was happy with them. His wife is, as far as I understand, is happy with them.
Yeah, I think they're like his licensing and everything they're managing.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
They're not. There's nothing. People want there to be a scandal. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, sorry, I can't do that.
Oh, sometimes you just grow. I mean, when you think of Rhymesayers, obviously think of Atmosphere, but then I think you're the flag bearer of the company for.
And in the more traditional spaces, I'm the more known one.
Right. Especially with the label. Like, I think of Rhymesayers, I think of you, for sure.
Yeah. And I mean, so Atmosphere built their own world completely separate which is what's so amazing. No, well, like separate from, like within hip hop. So like Tech Nine and Rhymesayers and Atmosphere, both were like, nobody accepts us. I'm going to go build my own.
Very on their own. That's a good, obviously different sonically, but very similar in terms of their approach to the industry and hip hop. Yes.
And they built their own worlds. I'm not opening for people. No. People can open for me. I don't open for people. I do my own show. It's an Atmosphere show. It's a Tech Nine show. And I learned a lot from that. But that's what they built. But when I came along, I mean, the Public Enemy and Rakim took me on tour. Ghostface took me on tour. GZA took me on tour. Brand Nubian took me on tour. Big Daddy Kane took me on tour. I was working with Joe Budden and so I was out of our early roster. I was the one that was known in hip hop spaces.
Yeah, you were working.
Yeah,
you were. Yeah, like you said, you were in that. I just remember one of my favorite records ever was the record that you, Freeway, and Jake One did, The Truth.
Yeah.
Which was so crazy. I don't know if you ever saw, I had Nipsey Hussle freestyle over that beat in 09.
Yes. Yeah.
Rest in peace, Nip.
Yeah, rest in peace, Nip. I was just with some of his people yesterday.
For you, man, I want to talk to you about obviously being Muslim in the music industry. I feel like we're in a really, really strange place society-wise where you can't really be too honest about what's happening in the world. And I've used my platform to be as honest as possible, in terms of.
What do you mean? Because I'm gonna take your lead on what we're saying.
What I'm saying is because
I say a lot, but I want to be respectful of your platform.
I'm talking about in terms of what's happening in Gaza and in the West Bank. And we have a situation where you can't necessarily, like I said, be too honest about certain. It's almost like you're seeing with your own eyes what's happening, but if you call it what it is, there's labels that get put on you, like anti-Semitic.
My man.
There's
go ahead, man. Go ahead, brother.
Well, I feel like it's interesting to me that like we live in a space where two things can't be true at the same time. Mm-hmm. It's like even if you're a Zionist, whatever, cool, but you can't not be honest about what's happening at the same. Like it's almost like those two things are exclusive to each other. However you feel about Zionism or whatever the case is, but like. I have friends in my life who are Jewish, who are Zionists, but also are very honest about there being a genocide and an ethnic cleansing, and what's happening in the West Bank is super fucked. But in the music industry, I haven't seen anyone necessarily on the super commercial side outside of Macklemore, Kehlani. There's not really a lot of big artists. Mm-hmm. Kind of speaking out like I feel like they
That'd be none.
Yeah.
So one of the things that's, somebody, I was just with Gabriel Teodoro, shout out to him. I think he was quoting somebody, but he said, so part of what we're talking about with this Kendrick thing is he can call Drake a colonizer and that's celebrated.
Right.
But where's the part where Benjamin Netanyahu is a war criminal? Where's the part where, because the hip hop we come from is
it's like there was Public Enemy.
Impeach the resident. I'm president pulling out my ray gun.
Mm-hmm.
There was very direct. Like they're the enemy. Like where we come from is they're banging on the system. They're banging on white supremacy. They're banging on colonialism. They're banging on. Yeah, man. And what you say is completely true. And so, last year I made an album with a Jewish anti-Zionist producer named Unjust. He's done with hieroglyphics.
Okay.
And he's amazing. And he's also an animator, illustrator. We made a beautiful album called Love and Service. The whole thing is really beautiful. you know, when we got to the end of the project was right when the big day in October happened.
Oh.
And we said, man, we knew that we had this in common. We knew it was a Muslim and a Jewish guy. And I mean, he's a Jewish guy. Got the beard, went to Birthright, married a Jewish woman.
Right.
He's a Jewish man. He's anti-Zionist. He's also very, you know, and we knew that we had this in common, but it was like not, it was just kind of a detail. We didn't really think, we're making music.
Yeah,